Hey, it's Aaron Engineered, and these are my 5 tips to getting a CCNA in 2019. Here we go. Now, of course, there are more than 5 tips, but here are my 5 best tips to getting your CCNA. Tip number 1, write down your reason for getting a CCNA. So whatever that reason could be, right? What's your motivation? Is your motivation to get more money? Is your motivation to get a better job? Maybe you're switching careers. Maybe it's to get a job, period. You could be in high school right now, right? Whatever your case is, whatever your scenario is in life, you need to write down why you want to get a CCNA. This does a bunch of things for your head psychologically. I'm not a psychologist, so I really don't know what the reasons are, but I do know that if you write these things down, they get reinforced in your brain. In fact, the more you write them down, the better it is for you. So, for instance, if you wake up every morning and you write down your reason for getting a CCNA or a CCNA, you're more likely to succeed in doing so. The math is there. I don't know where it is. It's just, I don't know. Google it. It's there, trust me. So, for instance, if you are the type of person that's just trying to make more money, then you should write down every morning, I'm gonna get a CCNA or a CCNA because I wanna make $10,000 more a year. Motivation is key here. You know, you guys are gonna get halfway into this bad boy. I mean, look how big this freaking book is. There's like 700 pages in here. I mean, there's more than that. There's 790 something, and there's 821, and a CD, right? I don't know what a CD one actually is. Who knows? But trust me, it's gonna get daunting. You're gonna wanna stop somewhere in the middle of this thing. You can get halfway through it and realize you ran out of steam. That's a huge problem. So don't be that guy, right? Don't get halfway through it. Don't do half the work, do all of the work. Reinforce it every day. Drill it into your brain why you're getting it. It's gonna help so much. It's gonna help feed your fire so you don't run out of steam halfway through the summer, right? When you're trying to get to the middle of this bad boy and you're on chapter 7, configure, verify, troubleshoot, basic router operation and routing on Cisco devices. Don't get stuck there. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Tip number 2 is to split the test into 2. Now, I know I called this getting a CCNA in 2019, but the thing is, I highly recommend getting the CCNA before you get the CCNA. But Aaron, why would I do that? So check this out, right? This is the original CCNA book that I used to have. The test number is like 640802. This is before they split it into 2. So right now, they've taken this content and split it into 2 different books. This is the ICND 2 book. I don't get it. They're the same size. Yes, well, let me help you here. The reason why Cisco even split the test into 2 is because most people weren't getting a CCNP. So Cisco's stats somewhere along the line said that I guess most test takers were going in, getting a CCNA, and then stopping. So what did they do? Well, they made it harder. Bad news is, for you, they made it harder. But really, it's not that bad because they split it into 2 tests. Now, can't you go take the test all at once now? Yes, it's a CCNA X or something they call it, right? You can go take it all at once. I don't recommend doing that because there's just a lot of stuff you gotta learn for one test. That's too much for me. I can't handle all that. I mean, look how big this book is. I mean, plus you're gonna learn a lot more, right? The point of this test is not necessarily to pass the test, right? If that's your motivation, it could certainly be done, and I get that. For some people it is just to pass the test. But it's gonna help you a lot if you actually look at this book as the opportunity to learn and the opportunity to gain knowledge. But trust me on this, split the test into 2 because at least you'll end up with the CCNA, and maybe you won't like it, but you probably will. You'll like it. Yeah, you'll like it. Step number 3, schedule the test. So now the question becomes, when do I schedule? There's a lot of stuff in here, right? There's 5 major topics. So if you Google ICND1 topics, exam topics, you're gonna end up on the Cisco website. You know, you're gonna see everything that they have that you need to know broken down into categories. Some of these have higher percentages than the others. That's because they weigh more on the test, so there'll be more content potentially about those on the test. But really, that's where you should be focusing all your time. So like I said, they've broken this into 5 sections for you already. So if you schedule this test 6 months from now, you're gonna have over a month for each section to be able to study for the content that's within that section. So you start by scheduling the test and work your way back. Now I can break down each month into one of these 5 sections. Within those 5 sections, I can break down the 4 weeks in that month and the things that I need to learn in those weeks. You now have a weekly plan. You can take that weekly plan and break it into daily activities. Always concentrate on the day you're on. If you look at this thing as a whole, like, oh my God, I gotta go test for this whole thing, you're gonna vomit. Worse yet, you might not ever schedule the test. So just take it day by day. And remember, we gotta write down every day why we're doing it. We gotta have the motivation to do this, right? We don't wanna lose steam on page didn't have a page number on it. On page 621, talking about OSPF version 2 and OSPF version 3 internal. You don't wanna get stuck there. Finish it. All right, tip number 4. Clearly you need some material to study if you're gonna pass this test. Now you probably could get away with going through Cisco white papers, right? But that's kind of a daunting task. You're probably gonna wanna get a book. I always recommend the OCG, so you're looking for the ICND1 official cert guide. You can find that on the Cisco Press website. Make sure it's the current number if you buy it from somewhere else. That's always a risk you take by getting it off of like Amazon or something, is it could be the wrong test number or book version. You want to make sure the topics are right. I also recommend getting Todd Lamley's ICND1 book. The reason I do that is because he does such a good job of explaining the topics in a way that's easy to read. So this isn't exactly a page turner. I mean, it's not like the lost episode of Lord of the Rings or something. So, I mean, it's technical writing, guys. I mean, what did you expect, really, you know? We're talking about OSPF areas in here, for goodness sakes. But you do have the option of getting Todd Lamley's book, which is also a little bit smaller, but he writes in a way that is human, if that makes any sense. You'll just have to check the book out. It's a great resource. Combined with this to give you a little bit more of a technical deep dive when you need to supplement some of the Lamley stuff. The other thing that you probably are going to want to get is some sort of video series. Now there are a couple of these out there as well. CBT Nuggets is a great one. INE does some training. There's lots of smart people on all of those websites. However, the one that I recommend that's kind of been with me throughout my whole journey has been Chris Bryant. What's cool about Chris Bryant is it's on Udemy and his course is $10. $10. That's like 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks. Like, who doesn't have that, right? So you can even go buy it right now and watch the whole thing and go, you know what, that's not for me. And you just saved yourself a lot of time and wasted effort on getting a certification that you didn't even want. So super cool course. I highly recommend it, and you have it for life. It's not going anywhere. So it's not subscription based. You pay the $10, the one-time fee. It's usually $10, and you can get it locked in and reference it whenever you need it. Tip number 5. Am I on 5? 1, 2. Carry the 1. I think I'm on 5. I'm on tip number 5. Tip number 5. Tell every single person you know. Do you have a significant other? Do you have a wife? Do you have a husband? Do you have a daughter? Do you have a dog? Let everybody know that you are taking the test. In fact, let me know too. Put it in the comments. Tell everybody. Write it on the internet. You know it's true if it's written on the internet, right? So if you write it down in the comments, everybody's gonna know that you're doing it. You're holding yourself accountable. It's going to be a lot easier for you to do this if you know somebody's watching you. I know that seems kind of scary, right? Somebody's watching you. This is the good kind of watch. You want somebody watching you. They're gonna help, I promise. They're not gonna do anything creepy. So everybody, if you're studying for your CCNA, ICND1, ICND2 to get your CCNA, or even your CCNP level exams, write it down in the comments. Let's all hold each other accountable. Hit the subscribe button. We're gonna dish out more tips. Thanks for watching.